Howdy everybody, welcome to another episode of It Came From Facebook. Today I must do the unholy task of looking at Yamaha motorcycles. One of my preferred brands, one of my favorites, but one that is not going to be absolved from my scorn. I've joked that Kawasaki guys, Suzuki guys, they're always heinous, and in today's video, we're gonna see the Yamaha bikes fall to a similar fate. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's start off with one of the craziest ones I have seen honestly in quite some time, and it's another Yamaha R3, which honestly is not boding well for the R3 community. This is a 2017 YZF, supposed to be an R3, $2,500 with 40,000 miles on it, although I don't think that's exactly accurate. Seller says, ex-girlfriend caught me cheating, so she caused minor damage. Now look, she caused deep emotional wounds, some big damage. He's trying to be a big man in the list description, say, bro, she caused me minor damage. She messed up your motorcycle. She caught you cheating. She has caused you serious emotional damage because you caused her emotional damage. Now I feel like I'm on the Maury show all of a sudden. It's not even Yami Noob anymore. Engine is perfectly fine. Anything you see that looks damaged can be replaced. You gotta love that, right? He's like, hey, you can fix anything you want. I know. You don't have to tell me that anything I see that is broken can be fixed. But you know what can't be fixed? Your broken heart, my friend. Says runs great, has a modified exhaust pipe on it, so it's really, really loud when you crank the throttle. Oh joy! That's everything I want in a Yamaha R3 that's been beat to death by your ex-girlfriend who cheated on you. I want it to be really, really loud. I'd like to keep it, but I recently bought a truck and don't really have time to ride anymore. Now, I don't know how the truck impacts your riding abilities. Maybe he just decided he's more of a truck guy than a motorcycle guy. That happens, you know, different strokes for different folks. We don't know if he was caught cheating with another woman. I mean, maybe he was caught cheating with something else, you know, another man perhaps. And then he's like, you know what, this whole bike thing is for me. I'm going to be with my truck guys, go mudding with the boys over here. They understand me better than this chick ever could. So let's take a look at the bike. Let's stop speculating about this poor gentleman's love life and personal life. Let's kick off with, these are the most horrifying photos of a motorcycle I've ever seen. I've recently been big into kind of like found footage horror movies from the mid 2000s, early 2000s. Rewatched the Blair Witch Project. There's REC from Spain in 2007, I think, also a fun one. The Descent, if you guys ever watched that one. And these photos are just terrifying. At night, flash on, cowboy boots visible. Everything about this is just very, very scary. This is the heinously loud exhaust. It's been sticker bombed. Now, did the ex-girlfriend sticker bomb the bike too, or was that your doing? He's probably going to throw anything on the ex-girlfriend here. We do see a bent brake lever right here. I don't think the ex-girlfriend did that. So maybe what this is, okay, let's take a step back. Maybe what this seller did is he crashed the bike, and then he's like, oh, I know what I can do. I'll tell everybody that it was my ex-girlfriend who messed the bike up. Not that I crashed it. I didn't crash it. I'm really good at riding. I'm really cool and good. And I'm only going to start driving my truck because I'm definitely not scared of riding anymore. I definitely don't want to kiss my homies goodnight and hang out with my truck boys now. But it was my ex-girlfriend, dude. She's the one that did all this. Because what kind of ex-girlfriend would go and like just slice open your rear passenger seat? She's like, I'm never going to sit on this again. She's like, you'll never have anybody sitting on this again. You and Jeremy will never run away together anymore. The clutch lever snapped over here. What a mess of a listing, dude. What an absolute mess. There's too many unanswered questions. All you can do is start speculating on it. And I'm starting to see a pattern. You know, maybe this is, I kind of think this is karmic retribution for all of the horrendous things I said about CF Moto owners. The universe has decided to show me like, hey, you know, remember, karma's a bitch. And you started in an R3, and look at what R3 people are like, okay? That's the pot calling the kettle black if I ever seen it, right? So R3 people, they are currently at the kind of the top of the castle for insanity. We had the guy who had the crazy loan out on his bike. We've got this guy with his fake ex-girlfriend story running off with his new truck boyfriend. Who knows anymore, man? Who knows? Final photo here, all the stickers on it. I mean, yeah, the bike was obviously crashed. You can see the plastics are cracked here. And this just really isn't like the MO of a scorned lover. You know, like I don't think a woman would go to your motorcycle and just start like scratching it up with a knife. That doesn't even make, oh, she's like, bro, I cheated on my ex-girlfriend and then she crashed my motorcycle for me. Like, that just doesn't happen, right? So really weird one, really odd. We had to start it off with this one. Moving on. All right, let's get a nice palate cleanser going. One of my absolute favorite motorcycles of all time, the Yamaha WR250R, a 2008, which I believe was the first year they came out. Nice vintage, 3,500 bucks, 7,500 miles. Oh, that's you love to see it. That's actually not much mileage for a WR that is, wow, 18 years old. That's kind of scary that someone born in 2008 is 18 already. Okay. A great running WR250R dual sport motorcycle for sale. This is one of the best in its class. I agree. Lightweight, fuel injected, super low maintenance, and incredibly fun to ride. I have the Texas Blue title in my name. And yes, I agree. The WR is all of those things. It's very fun to ride, very maintenance free. These, I believe, valve interval checks for these are like, I think it's 26,000 miles. You have to check the valves. You literally just have to put oil in this machine and it will run forever. The WR is unkillable. This one looks like it's just had some pretty like standard quality of life mods done to it. This looks like a seat concept seat. I actually had a very similar unit on my WR, but it looks like this is like a low version because this scoop is pretty aggressive here. We've got a couple stickers. That's no big deal. I do see the seat concept seat, which, yes, I was correct. It is a seat concept seat. Looks like we have a Leo Vinci slip-on pipe. This looks to be the stock header over here. So I highly doubt this has had any sort of like, you know, big bore kit or internal mods. Sometimes WR people can kind of go off the deep end and start doing a bunch of really crazy mods to the bikes. But this one looks to have been done up in pretty decent shape. The tires look non-standard. They look a little more like a little bigger spaces between the knobs, a little bit more for like proper off-roading sort of stuff. The WR is such a great bike, man. This thing sits well under 300 pounds. I think it's 280 pounds, if memory serves me correctly. Just an unkillable rock of a dual sport machine. He's got some of the little bark busters on there, the mirrors, and I just think that there is a world in which I ran away from the whole entire world, and it was me and my WR against the world, man. I just find these bikes to be so romantic, so cool, so bulletproof, and I just want to like live in the world where I'm a guy that has the kind of time that I can just like go do a really fun big ride with a WR250R. Unfortunately, I am not that guy. My life is not set up that way. But this is a pretty clean example. What this guy want for like 3,500 bucks? I think that's a really fair price. Again, it's a little old, so you may want to check stuff like, you know, condition of coolant hoses. Like what happens is over time on much older motorcycles, even though they've been ran and, you know, all that good stuff, the components, the rubber lines, the seals, there's a lot of stuff that's just going to age out that you wouldn't have on a newer motorcycle. So this is something that I'm like, hey, maybe you want to keep this in mind and kind of think it through a little bit. But overall, like a pretty decent buy on this WR and a very nice palate cleanser over that Yamaha R3. So this one, very nice. Moving on. Next up, 2015 Yamaha R3. Yet another one. Going for $3,450 with 18,000 miles. That price feels a little off to me. Let's take a look here. Selling my 2015 R3, 18,000 miles. The bike runs strong. The motor's very clean. It's been a reliable and fun ride, perfect for beginners or anyone looking for a lightweight, sporty bike. There's some scratches, they say. So this looks like a bike that was purchased by someone who was wanting to get into riding and maybe learned how to ride and then wanted to move on with life. It has all of your classic kind of like Squid Street Boy mods. We have cheap anodized Chinese levers, the weirdo grips, the Rizoma mirrors, they're probably like Chinese knockoffs or whatever. But the one thing that's kind of weird is this is a 2015 R3. It was never sold with these plastics or this color. This was not a factory color offered by the Yamaha R3. So someone either decided to like change out the graphics, or more likely the bike was originally crashed and then somebody replaced the plastics. It does look like this person did low side the bike and maybe now is like, hey, you know what? I don't think this whole riding thing is for me. So very classic thing that can happen to bikes like this. This doesn't mean the motorcycle is not worthy of your time and consideration, because what can happen is you might have the bike, if you're just trying to buy a beginner bike, you can get a really good deal on this and then, learn what you need to learn and then move on in, a couple of months and, maybe sell it for what you paid for. But I think the issue here is selling it what you paid for, because he wants $3,450 for an 11-year-old R3 with 18,000 miles. Keep in mind, the MSRP for these were like $49.99 or something like that. They were a little under $5,000. This bike, having been crashed, it has a lot of mods. It's already like got some weirdo plastic situation. This definitely is not a $3,400 motorcycle. I think this is more of like a $2,200 motorcycle, realistically. If it was stock and clean and just a few tasteful mods, the mileage wouldn't be that bad. But it's the fact that it's 11 years old and it also has just like, it's just a little beat up for my taste, So I just don't think it's that great of a pickup necessarily. But R3 people are, man, like a CF Moto in disguise or something, man. This is kind of a a bad situation. Maybe this bike back here is what this gentleman should have been on whenever he crashed this one. He's like, man, I wish I got my training wheels done a little bit. All right, let's stop clowning it. Moving on. 2002 Yamaha Road Warrior for $2,700. 26,000 miles on the clock. This is your classic metric cruiser wants to be a Harley. It looks really bad. I'm not gonna lie. I think it looks really bad. Let's read the description. Converted to Harley bars and Harley grips. Okay. 1700cc motor, 5-speed transmission, fresh oil change, new brake pads, new tires, new carb, new belt, new plugs and wires. Vance & Hines long shot exhaust, custom lighting, everything works as it should. Clean title in my name, 26,000 miles. Loud, fast, comfortable for distance rides, super reliable. I think that only 2 of those things are true. I think it's loud and it's super reliable. I don't think it's fast and I don't think it's comfortable for distance rides. Let's take a look at this thing. The Yamaha Road Warrior. Now, if you don't know, the Japanese have been trying to take Harley-Davidson's piece of the pie in the North American market for decades, right? And what they did, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about it, and what they did is they built these kind of bikes that, they are stylistically very close to what a Harley-Davidson product is, but they are just simply much more reliable, right? And one funny thing is you can actually see here they have this sort of like metal tube on the side of the engine here, and that's to kind of, I imagine, to simulate a kind of like push rod thing that like the Sportster motors do, and they put the air-cooled fins on it and all that. Like, they definitely studied the American cruiser market, but it just never stuck. And so what happens is you have just like a litany of these metric cruisers that were just ridden and abused and just enjoyed by dozens of people over the years and just end up in sort of states of disrepair. So this thing is, what is this exhaust, right? What is this like heinous, like not even wrapped exhaust that's kind of halfway wrapped? The exposed like cheapo Canon air filter thing that looks on here. The beat up, like, who even knows what kind of leather this is? That's not crocodile, that's not ostrich, that's not iguana. We don't even know what kind of leather seat we're working with here. Definitely that bobber look. He made a point to say it's Harley bars, but these could have just been any kind of bars you picked up on a parts bin. Like, what is that? This is a really sad little motorcycle. I tell you guys a lot. You can't let your bikes get to this point. You can't let them get to this point, because then if you ever want to sell them, if you ever want to do anything with them, like once your bike gets to this point, it's just simply your bike. Nobody's going to want it. Nobody's going to want to take it on. It's not worth it to fix up or change or do anything to it. So yeah, these kind of old Metro Cruisers, man, like they all fall to this fate. I've hardly seen some that are like just stock and well kept and normal, because at some point it depreciates to the point where some idiot is going to grab it and start just, for lack of a better term, molesting it and just really messing it up, really messing up the bike. So, moving on.
For 2026, we mixed it up a little bit. No more middleweight sport bikes. This Aprilia 210 V4 Factory is our newest giveaway motorcycle, and it is truly a spicy little meatball. Listen to that thing. Head over to the website, become a member for your best chance to win. Now, if you'll excuse me, you can get back to watching the video. I'm going to take this thing for a ride.
All right, 2012 Yamaha FZ8 going for $1 under $4,000 with 44,500 miles on it. Seller says 2012 Yamaha FZ8. This sport naked bike has the perfect balance between horsepower and torque and has an upright yet sporty riding position, inverted 43mm forks, dual disc brakes in the front. This bike rocks. 44K miles, clean title, ready to ride. And it looks really good. So this is what I was saying. We're like, you can have a motorcycle and just like own it like a normal human being would, and just like do the consumables, do the simple stuff on it, and just enjoy it for what it is. So let's give you guys a rundown on the FZ8. So before Yamaha introduced the FZ07 and FZ09 concepts in North America in 2013, this was the last version of the FZ bikes that had inline fours. So you had the FZ6 and the FZ8. And I think you had the FZ1 as well. Yeah, you did have the FZ1. I love the FZ1. And so you can see these have a more like super sport style, like big perimeter aluminum frame on them. And they have the inline four just suspended by this cradle here. So a relatively like advanced setup for this motorcycle, because this was supposed to be like a sort of detuned middleweight inline four machine. This was before like the parallel twins and triples kind of took over the market. This was really like the last inline four street bike that Yamaha offered, actually, because they don't do that anymore. Actually, come to think of it, the R6 is gone. The R1 is it's a super bike for the street, but it's got the cross plane. So this is really one of the last traditional inline fours that Yamaha offered. They don't even make them anymore. And I think this bike is aged reasonably well. It's got the old school Yamaha pumpkin incandescent turn indicators. They ran these until like, I want to say 2022. It was just absurd how long they kept these in production. But everything else in the bike, the front headlight's a little old school looking. It kind of reminds me of the Gixxis 750. But you can kind of think of this motorcycle like that. And that's why we often say, the Suzuki products like the Gixxis 750, they're really out of date, because this is basically what the Gixxis 750 is, and Yamaha was making this 14 years ago, So this style of bike, it's still really good, but it's just kind of like not as sharp and put together and agile as you'd expect from a brand new motorcycle. Like a brand new MT-09 SP would just demolish this thing in pretty much every category. But this still has a kind of old school charm about it. And it's, again, really well kept. It is remarkable that this motorcycle has 44,000 miles and it looks this normal and good and clean. I think someone probably just owned this as like their daily commuter and just ran it and just owned it like a normal human being, which is amazing. That's what you want to see. That's what a motorcycle's life, this type of motorcycle, that's what it excels at, That kind of mileage, don't let it scare you on an FZ8. We often think of motorcycles when they have like over 30,000 miles. You're like, oh, they're spent, just throw them away. Japanese bikes are different, man. This thing will happily run. As long as you change the oil, check the valves, do what you got to do, it'll happily run 60, 70, 80,000 miles, no problem. I've seen FZ1s that have 80,000 miles and they're just churning along just totally fine. It looks like the owner took care of the consumables. The chain looks like it's in good shape. The tire, it doesn't have super aggressive lean angles on it, but that's not really what the bike is designed for. It looks like they got, I think this is a Pirelli Angel GT. This is just a regular like sport touring style tire. It's just, it's very clean, very simple, and I think it's great. We need to see more motorcycles like this in the universe. I really, really like it. And I think stock exhaust. What? I mean, that's really how you know that this was like a 1 or 2 owner FZ8. So if you're in market for an FZ8 like this, oh my goodness, like this is cream of the crop. You know, this is hard to find stuff like this. What did this guy want for this thing again? $4,000? $4,000? Come on, sold. All right, boys. If you know, you know. It's the Yamaha FJR from 2014, $6,200 with 43,000 miles. Now this one, we're going to talk about why that's nothing on an FJR. So 2014 FJR 1300 is a legendary sport touring motorcycle known for its smooth power delivery, long distance comfort, and rock solid reliability. With only 43,000 miles, I like how he said that. This bike has been well maintained, fully serviced, and is ready to ride anywhere today. Just get on and go. So the FJR. This is Yamaha's answer in their own way to something like the Goldwing, and sort of something like the Hayabusa, and sort of something like a Harley-Davidson Road Glide. This is a really unique motorcycle. So it's using a really big 1299cc inline-4 engine that just churns miles in a very mild state of tune. Guys buy these literally to just absolutely slab up miles. That is the only reason an FJR is purchased. It's purchased by somebody in their 40 or 50s, sometimes even 60s, and they just want something buttery smooth, churn the miles away, jump on the FJR and go to town and have fun. Look at the ergonomic setup of this motorcycle. Just look at how far off the triple tree these bar risers are here. So the frame and the setup of this motorcycle, you would think that it's just total cruiser. It's not. It's sort of in the middle of like a cruiser and a sport bike, and it really is kind of unique in that way. There's nothing really like an FJR. It's a bit of an odd bird. But this guy's got the full touring load up on it. He's got the luggage. He's got the ram bar mounts. He's got the cruise control as it comes with factory. I think Yamaha still makes these new. I don't think that Yamaha, they never updated them really. Maybe they put on a couple new things, but they've made them pretty much the same ever since. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe they do still sell an inline four. It just happens to be in the FJR, and I just slipped my mind because it's been a ridiculous amount of time. Also, take note, shaft drive. That's how you know this thing's going to go for tens of thousands of miles. And I do like how the owner said only 43,000 miles. So what do they want for it? $6,200. I mean, fair. You know, fair price, honestly. Like, this is the type of vehicle that it's clean, it's well kept. These originally went for like pretty big money. I think they go for like 18 or 20 grand brand new. So they weren't cheap motorcycles brand new. And yeah, I think it's a very unique value proposition. It's like if you want a Goldwing, but you can't stomach like, you know, the Boxer 6 and just like the total battleship vibe of the Goldwing. This is much smaller, much sportier, but it's not like a sport touring bike. It's still sort of like a cruiser. They're hard to explain. If you've ridden one, you know, and if you know, you know. And that's it on the FJR. That's that on that. All right, another impossibly clean one that we found. 2015 Yamaha Super Tenere for $5,500 with 30,594 miles. Look how clean this thing is for 30,000 miles. That is absurd. Title in my name, current registration, great condition, new air filter, brake fluid, and new tires. This was owned by an adult. Look at this motorcycle. $5,500. So, Super Tenere, if you don't know, he's got the Yamaha cases too. Boys, if I didn't already have a long distance adventure bike, I'd get something like this. So, the Yamaha Super Tenere is a bike that is, I think it was sort of ahead of its time in the sense of it's like Yamaha's Africa Twin, but it's not quite as off-road capable. So it can do a little bit of off-road stuff, right? You can see it's got some suspension travel, but I don't think the front end is even a 21-inch. But this guy's got the cage down here below, some kind of knobby tires, but notice the space between the knobs. This is not really designed for much more than a gravel road. Let's be totally real. Like, you definitely don't want to take this thing on like a rugged trail or even like a forest road that gets kind of gnarly. This is definitely just like, I'm going to cruise on some nice like gravel roads and just like go see some stuff. Like, it's not really an adventure bike. I would say it's more like 70% sport touring, 30% adventure bike. But again, this is a great option for the rider who doesn't want a Goldwing, doesn't want to do some big cruiser. This is every bit as comfortable, maybe even more so than your Harley Road Glides, your Goldwings, all those sort of things, because it's a little lighter, it's a little more easier to manage. And look at the storage capabilities of this bad boy. I mean, this thing's absolutely packing some juice back in the rear end, baby. He's got the old school GoPro sticker and the Alpine Star stickers on here. This definitely feels like I'm just being transported back to like 2015, 2016 vibes. Got the helmets outside, the gear outside. I'm not really sure what the setup is here with this little canopy. It looks like a nice, cute, tight little setup here. He's got the plants, the bricks back here. I'm trying not to get into Yami Noob real estate mode, but you guys know me. I love seeing where the bikes are, where they're at, where they're being housed. But again, 30,000 miles, ultra clean, well kept, well cared for, from a good home, $5,500. I'm telling y'all are sleeping on these Super Tenere deals. You keep telling me, yeah, I can't find beginner bike, I can't do this, all the bikes are so expensive. You gotta look, you gotta wait, you gotta stay patient, and then boom, strike while the iron's hot. Get something that you really love. That's what I'm talking about. I like this one a lot. All right, boys, and the last one for today, 2014 Yamaha Raider S for $7,900, 3,650 miles. This is a rare bird. This is a Yamaha Raider S model XV19 CSEL. The S models have a lot more chrome parts, among other advantages. Excellent condition, like new, mechanically and cosmetically, driven for only 3,650 miles, garage kept and regularly started and gently driven. Very low, 3,600 miles, well maintained in excellent condition, cosmetically, mechanically, practically like new. Okay, just repeated himself there. So, Yamaha Raider S. I'm going to be completely honest. I know nothing about this bike. I have never even heard of this model. But I can see, just based on the amount of chrome, the dial here in the middle that's almost like a Harley Dyna, this was clearly, I don't know how long this was in production for, but this is clearly riding the wave of like mid-2000s weird choppers and factory customs and that sort of thing. And between this and the Honda Fury and some of the other weird models that Japan came out with during that time, weirdly enough, you can find these for decent prices. Now, this one is really weird because it's like perfectly bone stock kept, to the nth degree. Somebody really loved this motorcycle. Somebody like lovingly pulled this thing out and just shined it up, baby. Maybe it's like for boomers, looking at all the chrome and just like seeing your reflection and shining it and stuff. Maybe it gives them like flashbacks to their youth and memories of days past, and maybe it just allows them to hold on to a certain feeling, and that's why they have all the chrome on these machines. But this is a very, very shiny motorcycle. Belt driven, as you can see, big hog of a V-twin, clearly coming for that Americana big V-twin cruiser vibes. Like I told you guys, Japan was, they tried, every manufacturer tried to get into this market, and it did not succeed. And maybe we do a whole deep dive video on that one day, because I actually think that would be really interesting. It's like, why did they just keep trying this metric cruiser thing when it's like obvious they could not get it to work? And like nobody ever really figured it out other than Harley Davidson, and Indian to an extent, but like no Japanese manufacturer figured this out. Very interesting listing, very strange. I think the blue is nice, and honestly, seeing something just more normal and stock like this is actually cool. It's kind of a bit of a time capsule, and it's a strange bike. It's certainly not to my style, but I think someone would be very happy owning it. Again, I have never seen one of these come up for sale before, so if you are a fan of the Yamaha Raider, leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for checking out today's video, boys. I really do appreciate it. We will catch you in the next one. See you later.